This video took me 3 months to make, not because it was difficult, but because I wanted to cover each and every aspect of the RPCS3 in all its glory. Hey, what's up guys, the greatest Intellect here, and I present to you the greatest PS3 emulation guide on the internet. Let's get started.
My vengeance ends now.
The first thing you will need is the RPCS3 emulator itself. You can find the download link in the description below. Once you're on the RPCS3's website, head over to the Quick Start menu at the top of the page, scroll down a bit until you find the PC requirements section. Here, you will see both the recommended specs and the minimum specs required for running RPCS3. Take a moment to compare these specs to your computer's hardware. Your machine must meet or exceed the minimum specifications to run the emulator effectively. Keep in mind that RPCS3 is more CPU intensive than GPU intensive, so having a strong processor is crucial for playable performance. Once you've confirmed that your machine can handle the program, head to the download section. You will see that RPCS3 is available for Windows, Linux, and macOS. For this video, we'll use the Windows version. Simply download the x64 Windows package by clicking on the download button. The next thing we need is the Rusty PSN plugin. This plugin is incredibly useful as it helps update PlayStation 3 games to their latest versions. It shows which updates are available for your games and allows you to download them directly, eliminating the hassle of finding updates manually on the internet. You will find the link to the Rusty PSN in the description as well. Once you're here on GitHub, click over here on whatever's the latest version at the time. This will take you to the next page. Scroll down slightly until you see the Assets section. Download Rusty PSN igwe windows.zip by clicking on it. Next, we need an extractor program. If you don't have one, you can choose between WinRAR and 7-zip, but in most of my videos I use WinRAR. To get WinRAR, head over to Google and search for it. You can find it on winrar.com. Don't worry about purchasing it, the free version works perfectly fine. Download it by clicking the blue button. For your convenience, I've dropped a link to WinRAR in the description. Of course, if you prefer 7-zip, feel free to use that instead. Next, we need the PlayStation 3 system software, which is the official firmware the PS3 console runs on. You can find this on PlayStation's official website, and I've included the link in the description as well. Once you're on this website, scroll down slightly until you see the section titled How to Update PS3 System Software. Here, you will find two options: Update using the internet and Update using a computer. Select the second option and it will expand to a button labeled Download PS3 Update. Click on this button. If the download starts immediately, great. If it doesn't, right-click on the download button and select Copy Link Address. Open a new tab in your browser, paste the link into the address bar and press Enter. Choose a location on your computer to save the file and click Save. And in some cases, you might see a warning like Insecure Download Blocked or This file is unsafe. Don't worry, it's completely safe. Just click Keep and the download will proceed as expected. Alright guys, once all the necessary files are downloaded, the first thing you will need to do is install the zip extractor program. Whether you downloaded WinRAR or 7-zip, either one will work just fine. This is the first program we'll install since it's essential for extracting the rest of the files required by the emulator. Since I already have WinRAR installed on my computer, I won't be installing it. The next step is to extract the RPCS3 program, which is in a compressed file format. This is exactly why we need the extractor program in the first place. So right-click on the RPCS3 file and choose Open With. Select your extractor program, whichever one you downloaded. If you don't see it in the list, click Choose Another App and locate it on your computer. You can click Always Use this app to set it as the default for opening compressed files in the future. Once inside the extractor program, you will see the file contents. At the top, click Extract to and choose where you want the emulator to be extracted. I'm selecting my computer's C drive since it's the only partition I have, but you can extract it to any partition you prefer. Create a new folder for the emulator by clicking the New Folder button. It will automatically generate a name. And once that's done, press OK to extract the files into it. Once the extraction is complete, RPCS3 is ready to go. You can now delete the compressed file because it's no longer needed. Next, we need to move these two files into the RPCS3 directory. Select both files and move them. Now everything is in one place. Moving on, we need to extract Rusty PSN in the same directory. Right-click on the Rusty PSN zip file and choose Extract here. Once the extraction is complete, delete the zip file to keep the folder clean. At this point, your RPCS3 folder should contain the following: the extracted RPCS3 program, PS3 update file, and the extracted Rusty PSN program. To make accessing RPCS3 easier, we'll create a desktop shortcut. Right-click on the RPCS3 executable, select Show More Options, then choose Send to and Desktop Create Shortcut. This will place a shortcut on your desktop so that you don't have to navigate through folders every time you want to launch the emulator. If you prefer a clean desktop, you can pin the RPCS3 to the Start menu instead. Right-click on the executable, choose Pin to Start, and then you can delete the desktop shortcut. Also, consider renaming the shortcut to make it look cleaner and more presentable. Now everything's done on the installation side. Let's launch the RPCS3. The first time you open it, you might see a Windows protected warning like this. This happens because RPCS3 is an open source program, and Windows often flags such programs as unrecognized or potentially unsafe. Click More Info over here and select Run Anyway to bypass this warning. Now, if the program launches in your case, you're good to go. But if you see an error like this one I got, you'll need to follow some extra steps. Download and install Microsoft Visual C++ and DirectX End User Runtime. The link to both will be in the description as well. For Microsoft Visual C++, download the latest version that matches your system, either x64 or x86. And for the DirectX, it will download the correct version itself. In most cases, the following tools will resolve these kinds of errors, as it's usually some DLL files or tools missing from your computer. I've already downloaded and installed these tools, so I will proceed with launching the RPCS3. Now that the prerequisites are installed, this time it should start without any errors. And here we go, the RPCS3 has finally launched. Now the only thing you'll need to check here to proceed is to confirm that you have read the Quick Start Guide. Upon clicking Continue, the emulator will take you to its homepage. If there's an update available for RPCS3, you will see a notification as soon as you land here. You can choose Yes to update it right away or No if you want to update it later. For this tutorial, I'm going to skip the update by clicking No so we can focus on the setup process. Alright, the first thing you will do after launching the RPCS3 is to install the PS3 firmware. At the top of the RPCS3 window, click File and then select Install Firmware. Navigate to the RPCS3 folder where we placed the PS3 firmware file earlier. Select the firmware file. Now we click OK, and the emulator might do some compiling, which is normal, so we'll wait for this to finish. I'll fast forward this here to save you some time. Alright guys, once this is done, the next step is to add your games. To do this, navigate to the RPCS3 folder. Inside, you will find another folder named Games. Now I didn't create this folder, it's automatically created by RPCS3 during the setup process. Inside, you will see a text document titled "Disk Games can be put here for automatic detection." This folder is where you place your PS3 game files so that the RPCS3 can detect them automatically and add them to your library. You might also notice a shortcuts folder. This folder is not required in most cases, so we'll just ignore this. Feel free to delete these text documents if you want. They're only there to explain how the folders work. Alright, so I've gathered some PlayStation 3 ROMs here in different formats to show you how to add each of these so you're prepared for all types of ROMs. But before I show you that, did you know that only 0.3% of my viewers subscribe? With so much love shown through views and engagement, what's stopping you from subscribing? It's free for you, but keeps me motivated to create more content. So please consider subscribing. So, one of the most common formats of a PS3 game is a folder format. For example, here I have Demon's Souls in a folder format. It usually contains a game folder and an update folder, if available. with files inside like a PC game. To add this type of game, copy the entire Demon's Souls folder and paste it into the RPCS3's game folder. The emulator will automatically detect it and add it to your game library. Next, we have God of War 3 as an .iso file, which is also known as a disk image. This is another common type of ROM you will likely find around. You can check the file extension of any file by right-clicking on it and going to Properties. So there are two ways to handle .iso files. The first one is extracting it using WinRAR, like we usually do with a compressed file by right-clicking on the ISO file, choosing Open With, selecting WinRAR, and extracting it directly into the RPCS3's games folder. However, I don't recommend this method as it's less efficient. The second method is more efficient, in which we mount the .iso file by right-clicking on the ISO file and selecting Mount. This will create a virtual drive on your computer, acting like you have inserted a disk. Open the virtual drive, copy all the contents, and paste them into the RPCS3's games folder. The emulator will detect it automatically, just like before. Another type of ROM you could possibly encounter is a compressed folder. Here I have an example of this ROM type. Again, you can confirm the file type by right-clicking on it and checking its properties. And to add this type of ROM, just open it directly. Windows will handle it for you. You can also use WinRAR to extract this type of file. Inside the zip file, you will typically find a disk image or folders. If it's an ISO file inside, then you will follow the steps for the ISO file as I mentioned previously. And if it's a folder type ROM, you will simply copy it into the RPCS3's games folder. Fourth and the final type of ROM is .pkg or .rap files. To install these types, open the RPCS3. Oh, by the way, assuming that you don't want to see this every time you launch the RPCS3, you'd want to uncheck this over here and just check I have read the quick start guide, and you will not see this on every launch anymore. Alright then, to install .pkg or .rap files, go to the File menu and select Install .pkg/rap files. Navigate to the location of your file, select it, and proceed. The emulator will handle the installation process just like installing a PC game, and the game will appear in the library once it's done. So I will copy some games inside the RPCS3 folder and I'll be back. Alright guys, I've placed all of my games inside the games folder of the RPCS3. As you can see here, I've organized them into subfolders I created myself and then placed the game files inside each of these subfolders. The games are now ready to launch. We can also go ahead and delete this text file here since it's of no use. Now let's launch the RPCS3 program. As you can see here, RPCS3 has already detected some of the games, but not all of them. If you run into this issue, it likely means there's something wrong with how the games were placed. For example, the resistance hasn't been detected because it's inside an unnecessary subfolder within the games folder. RPCS3 struggles to detect games when they are buried into too many subfolders. To fix this, navigate back to the RPCS3's games folder, locate the game files, cut them from the subfolder, and paste them directly into the games folder, the root folder of the games. Repeat the same process for other games if needed. After fixing the folder structure, go back to the RPCS3 and hit refresh, and the RPCS3 should detect all the games. Now looking at these games, the key details you need to pay attention to are the serial numbers and the versions of the games, because these are crucial for getting updates or DLCs for these games. Also notice that all of these games are categorized as disc games because they come from dumping a physical game disc. However, if you had a digital game that you purchased and dumped from your PlayStation 3, it will be labeled as an HDD game. For now though, all the games we're working with are disc games. Keep in mind that games that require update on the PlayStation 3 console will also need updates on the RPCS3 emulator. To handle this, we'll be using the Rusty PSN plugin which we downloaded earlier. There it is. Once located, we'll simply go ahead and launch it. When you run the Rusty PSN plugin for the first time, it may show an error. Don't worry about this, it's the same story. You just need to click on more info over here and run anyway. After this, the Rusty PSN should open up, and the first thing you will want to do is configure the download path. To do this, click on this gear icon to open the settings. Now navigate to the RPCS3 folder. Inside, create a new folder and name it Updates. Once this folder is created, it will be automatically highlighted. Click on Select Folder, and now every update you download using Rusty PSN will be saved inside this folder. Once that's done, click on Save Settings to apply the changes, and you're good to go. Next, to download updates for a specific game using this, you will need the title serial of that game. Let's go back to the RPCS3 and choose a game we want to update. Right-click on it and select Copy Info, then Copy Serial. Now return to Rusty PSN and paste the serial into the search bar and click on Search for Updates. And it will show you all the available updates for the game. For example, here, it has found an update for Red Dead Redemption, which is about 18 megabytes. Simply click on Download and the update will start downloading. Once the download is complete, it will notify you that the process has finished. Now close Rusty PSN and navigate to the folder where the update was downloaded. In this case, the update was saved in the Updates folder inside the RPCS3. Here, you will see the downloaded update file for the game. To install the update, double-click on the .pkg file. The first time you open a .pkg file, it will ask you to select an application to open it with. Click Choose an app on your PC, navigate to the RPCS3 executable file to set it as the default program for .pkg files, and click on Always. From now on, RPCS3 will automatically detect and open .pkg files for you. Now it's asking for confirmation, click Yes and the update will be installed. As you can see here, the game is now version 1.01, which means the .1 update has been installed. While this is a very easy way to install an update to a game by clicking on it, this is not an effective way to do it because some games have a bunch of updates. Like Resistance 3 here has a bunch of updates, and here you would not want to install updates one by one. So it's best to install multiple updates within the RPCS3 itself by going into File, then install Packages, Wraps and EDATs and select all the updates related to a game at once, or even updates that belong to other games. The RPCS3 knows which belongs to which. Even if it's a DLC file like the first one, oh by the way, that's how you install DLC files as well. Once you select all of these, click on Open and it will show you a list of all the updates that you selected in the correct order and sorted out. Then all you need to do is to press Install and all the updates will install in just one go and the updated versions of the games will appear. Now, if for some reason you want to uninstall an update, maybe reinstall it or face some sort of error, there's a way to remove the installed updates and start fresh. To do that, you will need to go up top into the View menu and click on Game Categories and enable this Game Data option. When you do this, you will see all the updates installed for every game, including the DLCs. For example, let's take a look at Resistance 3. Here's the update file for it named PS3 Game Data, and here's the actual game itself. The same applies to other games as well. Now to remove an update, simply right-click on it and go to Manage Game, then select Remove PS3 Game Data. Doing this will remove the update and revert the game's version back to 1.00. Once you're done, I recommend unchecking Game Data option in the View menu to keep the interface clean and less cluttered, and you won't end up deleting something you don't want to. Another feature we have here is the game patches. Now, if this is your first time accessing patches, you might see a prompt asking if you'd like to download the latest game patches for that game. If that happens, just click Yes. For me, it didn't show the prompt because I already have them downloaded, but you can always click on Download Latest Patches button at the bottom to get the latest versions of the patches. So what are these patches? Essentially, they're enhancements designed to improve your experience with the games. For instance, you might see an option like Unlock Aspect Ratio. Checking this will allow the game to run at an aspect ratio it wasn't originally designed for. Similarly, Unlock FPS enables games to run at higher frame rates, These patches are game-specific, and the available options vary depending on the game. If you right-click on one of the games and go to Manage Game Patches, you will see a list of patches available for that specific game. Some patches even function as cheat codes. For instance, certain games may include patches for infinite ammo or health, though this only applies to a handful of games. Additionally, some games have patches that depend on the version of the game you have installed, so make sure the patch aligns with your version of the game. To enable a patch, you simply need to check the box for the specific patch you want, click Apply, and then hit Save. The next time you boot up the game, it will run with those patches. And that's how you enhance your gaming experience with the help of patches. Now, moving on to the configuration settings of the RPCS3 itself. Here we have CPU settings, audio settings, and more. Most of the time, it's best to leave everything on the default because the developers have optimized these settings for general use. You shouldn't change anything unless you're absolutely sure about what you're doing. However, we do need to make some changes to the settings of specific games in most instances to improve the game's performance and all. And if we want to do that, it's not a wise move to modify the master settings for the entire emulator. Changing the master settings would apply those changes to every game you run in the RPCS3, which isn't ideal. Instead, you can create a custom configuration for that specific game. Simply right-click on the game and go to Create Custom Configuration from Default Settings. This window will look just like the master settings menu, but the changes you make here will apply only to that particular game you are doing this on. Now, you might wonder, how would you know which settings are best for a specific game? For that, we'll head over to the RPCS3 wiki. This site serves as the centralized hub for all information about the RPCS3 emulator. You can find this link in the description as well. So once you're here, you can use the search icon on the top left-hand side to look up the game you're trying to optimize. For example, let's search for God of War 3. When you click on the game's title, it will open a dedicated wiki page for that specific game. At first, you will see an introduction about the game itself, but that's not what we are after. What we need is under the configuration section. Here, you will find specific settings that can improve the performance of the game on RPCS3. Now, many of you might already know how to apply these settings in RPCS3, but for those who don't, I'll walk you through the process step by step using God of War 3 as an example. First, we'll arrange the RPCS3 window on the right side of the screen and the wiki on the left, so we can work side by side. Now in RPCS3, we'll right-click on the game title and select Change Custom Configuration from Default Settings or Global Settings. Looking at the wiki, the first setting is under CPU configuration, where it mentions the SPU block size. According to the wiki, we need to set it to the mega for better performance in God of War 3. So in the custom configuration window under the CPU tab, we'll find the SPU block size and change it to mega. The next setting is in the GPU configuration, where the wiki suggests setting the frame limit to 60. Similarly, the resolution scale needs to be set to 160 x 160 as recommended, but we won't be able to do that right now because you will need to make the RPCS3 window bigger to get the precise 160 by 160, and that will mess up the setup we've got here, so we'll leave it on 157, which is the closest option available right now. The next thing Wiki wants us to enable is these two settings, and we're good to go. Moving on to the advanced configuration section, we'll have to look for RSX FIFO accuracy. Here it is. Once all the required settings are adjusted, we'll click on Apply and Save Custom Configuration. And this setting icon will appear right before the title's name, ensuring that these changes are applied specifically for God of War 3. Now with everything configured, the game is technically ready to launch. These settings should improve performance and provide a better overall experience than playing it on default settings. Another thing to note here in the RPCS3 wiki is the recommended patches section. You will find this section just under the configuration section, and it shows us recommended patches for different games. For God of War 3, we have this highly recommended patch over here, which is to disable MLAA and disable SPU MLAA, which likely improves the performance of the title. And here are these two optional kind of patches, which when enabled will make skipping cinematics or intros possible. This is totally not important and can be skipped. You can apply these patches the same way I showed you previously in the video. If you have any doubts, you can go back and watch that section again. Now the emulator is technically ready to use, but we can't really play before we connect a controller. That's exactly what we're going to do by heading over to the pad section, which opens up the gamepad settings. RPCS3 supports a wide range of controllers as stated on their website, and for most people it should be one-click configure. Connect your controller via a cable or Bluetooth and it should be detected by the RPCS3. If you connected a PlayStation or an Xbox controller, simply go to this handler section and select the appropriate option. X input for Xbox controllers, DualShock DualSense option for PlayStation controllers, and the RPCS3 will handle the rest. For third-party or incompatible controllers, you might need an additional application to bridge the connection between RPCS3 and your device. I've made a detailed guide on setting up various controllers. You can check out the whole playlist by clicking here. This link is also in the description below. For most third-party controllers, you can try X input since I have seen it working with almost everything. In my case, I'm using a DualSense controller, so I'll just select DualSense. If for any reason you want to manually remap buttons, just click on any button and press the corresponding button on your controller to link them together. You can repeat this for all controls one at a time. So after selecting your preset and/or mapping controls, just hit save and now the controller is fully configured. This section of the video is for those who are interested in importing external save files of the games onto the RPCS3. This is totally optional. You do not need to watch this section if you're not interested in importing external save files. Just skip to the next chapter below. For those who don't know, save files allow you to boost up the progress of a game. There are various kinds of save files on the internet for all kinds of games, and the tool you'll need to make this happen is the Apollo PS3 tool. This link will also be in the description below. Just download whatever is the latest version at the time you watch this. Once downloaded, place it inside the RPCS3 as well. Not really necessary, but to keep things sorted. Then go back to the RPCS3, head over to File like before, then go to Install, Packages, Wraps, and EDATs. Navigate to the RPCS3 folder, find the Apollo PS3 package and install it. Click on any confirmations, and you should see it in the list of games. Now, before we launch this, we need to grab a save file for a game to demonstrate this process. To get save files for any game, you'll come over here to this site, which is Game FAQs. Again, link in the description. And you're going to search for a game that you want to download the save file for. So let's say we want a save file for Demon's Souls. Now the one we're looking for is this one. It says PS5 and PS3 because this game is on both console generations. So let's click on it, and when we are on the Demon's Souls page, it will show everything related to this game. From here, click on Saves and you will see all the save files available for this game. But right now, for this title, we only have one which is a 100% completed save file. So let's go ahead and download this. Now before touching the save file, we need to come back to the emulator and go on Manage up here and click on Save Data. This is the save manager of the RPCS3, where you will find save files created by different games as I played them. Before you import any external save file into any game, you must have played that game at least once. For this example, we downloaded a save file for Demon's Souls. As you can see here, I've already played the game, which has generated a save file in RPCS3. You might remember the screen that appears whenever a PS3 saves a game, the one with the loading bar filling up. That's essentially what we need to trigger before proceeding. Although it might look different here on the RPCS3, but you get the idea. Without creating at least one in-game save, the View Folder button here will remain grayed out. Once you've played the game and saved at least once, return to this menu and click on View Folder. This will open up the directory where the game stores its save data. Now inside this folder, you'll replace the existing save files with the downloaded ones. But before extracting the new save, you need to delete all the current save files. So we'll remove these and then proceed to extract the new save files. Right-click on it and select Extract All. Now copy all of these save files and place them inside the root save folder. Once done, delete the empty folders including the original zip file to keep the folders clean. And we have successfully placed new save files. Next, close everything and open the Apollo Save tool. Give it a moment to install. Once inside Apollo, use the controller to navigate to HDD saves. From the list, select the game you're installing the saves for, then choose Decrypt Save Game Files. Inside, you will see all the new save files we copied in the root folder, and to make these usable, we'll need to decrypt each of these one by one. Unfortunately, there's no one-click quick way to do this, and you will have to do this process this way. Not every save game file needs to have so many contents to decrypt. Some might have more or less, but the process stays the same. So once this is done, you can close the Apollo Save tool and navigate to RPCS3 folder, dev HDD0, temp, Apollo, and you will see a folder with the serial number of the game. Inside, you will find all the decrypted save files. Now go ahead and copy all of these and go back to the emulator, click on Manage up top, then Save Data. Select the game and click on View Folder, and paste the files here. Now the save data is ready to use. The final thing we have is customizing the overall look of the RPCS3. For example, the games right now appear in list view, but you can switch to grid view by clicking here. You can also adjust the size of the thumbnails using this slider. To customize game cover art, right-click on a game, select Custom Images, and then import Custom Icon. You can upload any custom icon to replace the default one. RPCS3 also supports hover GIFs, which play when you move your cursor over a game. To change them, right-click on a game, go to Custom Images, and select Import Hover GIF. You can find different GIFs online and import them here, and they add to the overall feel of the emulator. Don't forget you also have the option to change the emulator themes in these settings. That's it for the RPCS3. If you're interested in more emulation tutorials, check out our series on different emulators. The link is right here and in the description below. And if this video helps me reach 15,000 subscribers within this year, I'll continue this series.